Good day, poker peeps. My name is Sky, and I appreciate you spending some of your study time with me. I'm here to help you learn how to make money in online poker by improving your skills in the most efficient way possible. In today's episode, I'm going to cover my 10 biggest winningest and losingest hands of 2022. We're going to discuss the action of every hand from pre-flop all the way through to the river, and I'm going to explain any mistakes I may have made, and also, explain some of the great plays, the money-making plays that I made to make such good money in these 10 hands, or in these 7 winning hands, and then the top 3 losingest hands for 2022. To help you take notes and see screenshots of all the hands, maybe even watch a video of me going through these hands, go to the show notes page, smartpokerstudy.com/pod421. All right, without further ado, let's do this. Gambate!
Get ready to meet your maker. Oh, God! We hadn't even started yet!
Never underestimate your opponent.
What's up now, Frank? I'm doing this because I love you!
Alrighty, so I already have the 10 hands pulled up. 7 big winners, 3 big losers. We'll review those in a sec, but I want to first show you how to find your own biggest winning and losing hands in Poker Tracker 4. And this is one of the great reasons to play online poker, because you have a database of hands that you can pull from, learn from. You can review these so easily at the drop of a hat. If you're a live player, you have to take copious notes, right, in order to go back and review your year of hands. Super simple with Poker Tracker 4. So follow along if you're on your computer with Poker Tracker 4 right now. So go to More Filters. I have it pulled up for this year. You can see this year, 28,000 hands I've played so far, positive $195 at 10NL and 5NL, positive 11.46 big blinds per 100 hands. So it's a pretty good year so far. So go to More Filters, Hand Details, Win/Loss, and then turn on the player won the hand. But let's also filter it so we only see the biggest winning and losing hands. So in this part right here, amount won or lost, big blinds between, let's go between 90 and 1,000. Turn that on. So it's a 2-part filter. Add that to filter, save and apply filters. And you could see there were 41 hands this year where I won between 90 and 1,000 big blinds for positive $362. Make sure you record this number because you want to see how much you won with your biggest winners and how much you lost with your biggest losers. Compare those two numbers. Hopefully, you're winning more with the biggest winners than you are losing. So that's the filter right there. We have 41. You can see I have it broken down by position, so you can go through and check out your own hands that way. But like I said, I've already pulled up the 10 hands over here. Start with the 7 winners. Now, you can see on the screen right now, once again, for you listening to the podcast, everybody, go to the YouTube video for this episode, smartpokerstudy.com/YouTube421, and then you can watch me replay all of these hands. But I'll explain the action to you right now. And you can see we have these showdown hands. I have it shown, so we already see what our opponents are going to have at showdown. MP open raises to 2 big blinds. The cutoff calls with Queen 10 offsuit, just called 2. Now, I have pocket aces on the button. I decided to 3-bet to 10 big blinds. And the reason why is because I'm just going for max value against these fish, right? The open raiser only has 22 big blinds left. We got a big old fish over here in the small blind. The player just called for 2 big blinds. He has 173 big blind stack. He might very well be fishy as well. So I make it 10 going for value. And the fish in the small blind cold calls 10 big blinds. The big blind calls. The open raiser, the initial player just folded his 2 big blinds, and then the cutoff call. So we're going 4-way. I've got pocket aces in the best position, and the pot's already 42 big blinds pre-flop. Things are looking pretty good right now. Okay, so flop comes down 10-7 deuce, almost as dry as a flop can get. I got the pocket aces. My 2 opponents, we see their showdown hands. We have Queen 10 and a King 10. They both have top pair, decent kickers. And then the big blind with his King 10 top pair just shoves 164 into 42 big blinds. And the Queen 10, he has 165 big blind stack. He calls all in, basically, leaving 0.8 big blinds behind. And of course, I only have 90 big blinds in my stack. I'm going to call with my pocket aces. Call. The pot is a full 461 big blinds right here. There's a side pot of 148, but the main pot is 312 big blinds. The board runs out a 3 and a 4 with 2 spades, so the final board is 7, deuce, 10, 3, 4 with 3 spades, but nobody hit a flush on this river. So thankfully, my pocket aces beat both of these top pair hands, and I take down 297 big blind pot. I started the hand with about 100, so I won 197 big blinds or so. Lovely pot right here with pocket aces. Hand number 2. Ace 4 suited open raises, loose aggressive player, 57/29. I have king queen suited on the button. Now, I could call, but king queen's a fine hand, especially with the best position to 3-bet. So I 3-bet to 9 big blinds. The small blind folds, and then the big blind with pocket tens just cold calls right here for 9 big blinds. That gives the cutoff open raiser a great price to call. He calls for 6 more big blinds with his ace 4 suited. So the pot's 27 big blinds. I have king queen suited in the best position as the 3-better versus ace 4 suited and versus pocket tens. The flop comes down king 6-3 with 2 hearts. So the open raiser has ace 4 of hearts. He's got the nut flush draw, right? And pocket tens has an under pair here. The pocket tens leads out for half pot on the king high board. The nut flush draw just calls. I have king queen, top pair, really strong kicker right there. I just shove it in. I know it's a wet board with the 2 hearts. I want to make sure that anybody with a weaker king right here, potentially king jack, king 10, can call versus my king queen. A couple of hearts can call. And then this under pair of pocket tens, he ends up calling too. So I'm getting crazy value, theoretical value, because I haven't won the hand yet, right? But they all call. The pot's 245 big blinds. The turn comes a 4, the river comes a 6, no heart. My king queen takes it down versus pocket tens and versus a busted flush draw right there. And I win a pot of 265 big blinds minus my 100 or so starting, 165 big blind winning. Love that one right there. The next hand, I got pocket queens. We got a limper under the gun, a second limper in the MP. I decide to make it 7 big blinds. My rationale behind this is look at these 2 short stacks who limped. And they're both passive callers, right? They're playing way too many hands, doing a ton of calling. I have to raise big right here to isolate them, but also just to get max value out of my 3rd best hand, pocket queens. But I make it 7 big blinds. The small blind just calls. He has ace 6 suited. And then the big blind, whoa, he re-raises. He's a 50/33 player. Only after 6 hands, but he's pretty aggressive. He makes it 21. He 3x'd our bet as a squeeze. The 3-bet squeeze right here. Both limpers fold. It comes back to me. I've already got 7 in. I could call, but I end up shoving it in, trying to look as bluffy as I can. I want these 2 players to not believe I have anything good. I'm trying to push them off their hand here. That was the goal with my pocket queens, to look bluffy. The ace 6 suited, he only had 13 big blinds behind. He calls, of course, right? He's a fish to begin with, so he's not going to fold an ace-6 for 20 big blinds total. And then the big blind 3-bet squeezer with ace-king, he, of course, calls as well. So I just committed 96.5 big blinds. So did he, 20 big blinds from the small blind. The pot is 215 big blinds total. I have pocket queens. The flop is king 10-5. So unfortunately, the ace-king just caught me with the top pair hand. But the turn comes a jack, giving me an open-ender. And the river comes an ace. So I rivered a straight. I started with the best hand, got out-flopped, but I rivered the nut straight right here on the ace, king, jack, 10, 5 board. And I took this bad boy down versus ace, king, and ace 6 for a total profit of roughly 111 big blinds, give or take right there. Love that one. Now we're not on the button. We're actually in the MP. We open raise with pocket 9s. We get a tiny 3-bet from a 40/13 player, but I mean, if you look at him, 40/13, he's 3-bet 1 out of 7 times already. He raises first in 13%, calls 29%. This is a really fishy player he can get aggressive sometimes with 3-bets. But look, I open raise to 3. He 3-bet to 7. What a weak 3-bet, right? Now, the button with pocket kings just calls for 7 big blinds. Man, this is This is the downfall of many fish. They have the best hand, one of the best hands with pocket kings, and he just calls. He's not going for value. He wants to slow play his opponent to his detriment, to his downfall, I should say. And the big blind just cold calls for 7 big blinds, leaving him with only 23 behind. And of course, like I got pocket 9s, but it's only 4 more to try to win a total pot of, after my call, 28.5 big blinds. I have to call. I can't fold, right? I know it is just pocket 9s, but there's no way I'm folding. Flop comes down 9, 3, 4 rainbow. I hit top set. 28 big blinds in the pot. First player checks. I check as well with the goal of check raising, right? The 3-better bets 20 big blinds into the 28 big blind pot. The button player just calls with his pocket kings. The MP player folds right here, and now it's back on me. I make a min raise to 40.6. The original C-better made it 20.3. Min check raise here, wanting max value, hoping neither one can fold. The first player in the cutoff calls, and then the button calls as well. We've got 3-way action. I have top set. Loving this spot right here, right? The pot is 150 big blinds and a 5 hits on the turn, making the board 9, 3, 4, 5 rainbow. The only thing I'm kind of scared of, I guess, not scared, but possibly they could have his ace deuce for a straight to beat me, right, in this 3-bet pot. But top set, I ain't scared of nothing, baby. 150 big blinds. I have a 93 big blind stack. I just shove it in. I'm hoping somebody else has an overpair, or maybe even an ace king that they just can't fold, right? Well, the cutoff player decides to fold. But the button, with pocket kings, of course he calls on a 9-high board right there. The river comes a 5, giving me a full house, 9s full of 5s, best possible hand other than quad 5s. And I just take that bad boy down for a 319 pot. I started with, I have a note here. It's a 179 big blind winning pot. Loving that one right there. All right. The next one. Oh, this is great. So on America's Card Room, they have these things called bomb pots, right? Everybody starts. It's full ring. Everybody starts with 4 big blinds. They get dealt their hand, and no matter what, they see a flop. There's no pre-flop action, right? Oh, no, wait, there is pre-flop action. I'm sorry, but everybody's forced to put in 4 big blinds. We all checked around. My bad. The flop comes down 10-7 deuce with 2 clubs. I hit top set with my pocket 10s. So what happens right here? Check, check, check. I decide to bet about 3/4 pot or so, 23 big blinds into 36, because it's kind of wet right there, and I'm just hoping these guys have any kind of pair, maybe even like an ace 10 or a king 10 for a top pair hand, or a couple of clubs to give me value. Ace 7, second pair, ace kicker decides to call. We got another caller, and then the 6-3 suited decides to call. He's got the flush draw, 6-high flush draw. And then the rest folds. So it's 4-way to the turn, 127 big blinds in the pot. The turn comes a 7 of clubs, putting 3 clubs out there. It pairs the 7s on the board. So I have a full house. On the 10-7 deuce 7 board, my top set turned into full house on the turn. So I just check, right? Hoping somebody has a 7 or a club flush. The ace 7 with trip 7s bets about half of his stack at 31 big blinds. We get a folder, and then the guy with the 6-high flush decides to call. I decide to raise right here. Here's the thing. They've already put so much into this pot on another 7 and a 3rd club. They're not folding. The original better only has 38 big blinds behind, and the other one has 57 big blinds, and the pot before I raise is already 191. Nobody's folding. I am going for max value. I just shove, try to make it look bluffy, but I'm just forcing them to commit. And they both commit right here. What a lovely pot. 336 big blinds in the pot right here. And I end up taking it down, and I win 226 big blinds right there. The river comes a 4. No help to anybody. My top full house, 10s full of 7s. Take this bad boy down. Love the bomb pot. When you win, you'll love it. So another hand. Now we've got pocket kings. Under the gun, raises to 4 big blinds. I have pocket kings with a 200 big blind stack. Ace 10 offsuit in the cutoff decides to call. Button calls as well. The small blind with ace jack offsuit calls again. And, it comes to me, I've got pocket kings. In the last hand, I said slow playing with some of the strongest hands is often the downfall of fish, right? So what do? I decide to raise it. I make it 30 big blinds. So there was an open raiser at 4, 3 callers, so the pot was 17. I pop it to 30, 7.5 times the bet right there. We get a fold. The initial open raiser folds, but with ace 10 offsuit, he calls 30 big blinds. Unbelievable. I mean, he's an 87/7, so of course he called that, right? He's just handing value to his opponents. I'm loving the fact that he called. I don't want to see an ace on the flop. So I made it 30. I get 2 callers, ace 10 offsuit, ace jack offsuit. We see the flop of 98 big blinds in the pot. And the flop comes down 3, 10, 9. Rainbow, I have the over pair of pocket kings. The ace 10 has a top pair top kicker. Ace jack has 2 overs and a backdoor straight. That's it. But he only has 41 big blinds in 98 big blind pot. So he checks. I just shove it in. I'm trying to look bluffy. I'm hoping that they think I have ace king or pocket fours. I'm just trying to shove them off their hand. All right. So I shove 172 into 98. The ace 10 offsuit cutoff, he has 114 big blinds. He decides to call. Sweet! He's just handing me his chips right there with his top pair hand. And then the ace jack offsuit, he says, screw this, I can't fold. I got to commit the rest of my 41 big blinds in the 400 big blind pot, right? So he calls as well. Now, so I've got pocket kings. The flop was 10, 9, 3. The turn comes another 3, not helping either of them. And the river comes a 6. No help at all. My overpair of kings wins. And this is my second biggest pot I won for the year at a 205 big blinds. Now let's look at the 7th winning hand, the last of the winning hands right here. We get a limper in the MP and the cutoff calls. And then another pocket kings. This is, like I said, the downfall of kings. He makes it, he raises it to just 3 big blinds. You should never do that when you have a hand as strong as pocket kings. Never, never, never. Like, that deserves to be bet so much more, especially against a couple of big stack fish over here. He's got to be ISO raising them bigger. But I love the fact that he didn't make it bigger, right? Shows that he's weak. Oh, how interesting. The small blind player, starting with 70 big blinds, he 3-bet to 12, right? So there was a limper, 3 big blind raise, and then he makes it 12. So what do I decide to do? I say, screw this, man. I've got all fish on my table. I'm loving looking at these players. They're all like juicy fish on the hook for me. I've got pocket queens. I shove my full stack of 100 big blinds right here. The 2 limpers fold. Of course, the pocket kings calls. He has 100, or he reshoves for 113 big blinds. And then the 3-better, who only has 58 big blinds left, he calls for his 70 big blinds total, right? So I've got my queens versus pocket kings and an ace jack. But sometimes, the board goes in your favor, like we saw in that prior hand where I rivered a straight. Once again, right here, the flop comes down queen 3-7. I've got top set, but it's a monotone board, all spades. The pocket kings has the king of spades, so he has a chance to catch up, or not catch up, but beat me in the hand, right? The turn comes an 8 of diamonds, so 3 spades on the board, queen 8, 7, 3. And the river comes another queen, giving me quads. What a lovely spot, right? My quad beating out the overpair of kings right here. For a full, like a total pot win of a 259 big blinds, the profit was 159 big blinds in this one. Loving that result. So before we get to the top 3 losingest hands of 2022, got a few shout outs for you. My Smart HUD for Poker Tracker 4, it's the best HUD in the business. I use it for every single hand I play. You can get it for yourself by going to smartpokerstudy.com/smarthud. And I've got to thank Jeff Connor, Karen Villeneuve, Alan Wilburton, Eric Romo, Martin Latner, David Kritzer, Rocio Diaz, Chabane Curtis, Bill Gibson, Larry Lamberson, Keith Brandt, Hugo Schaller, Jared Spector, Min Sang, Peter Scott, George Best, Greg Moore, Emma Napper, Rasmus Fry, Marcio Florenciano, Jeremy Petrie, Christian Philemon, Nick Copia, Greg McDivitt, Stephen Burns, and Jim Abrams for picking up the Smart HUD recently. They simply went to smartpokerstudy.com/smarthud. They already had Poker Tracker 4. They just needed the best HUD in the business to fully exploit their opponents. So follow in these awesome Poker Peeps footsteps and get the Smart HUD for yourself. And of course, I just mentioned Poker Tracker 4, and truly, I wouldn't have a list of my top 10 biggest winningest and losingest hands without Poker Tracker 4, without being an online player, using this program to have my database of hands and then go through it to do these kinds of reviews, right? Learn from my biggest winnings and biggest losing hands. So to get Poker Tracker 4 for yourself, go to smartpokerstudy.com/pokertracker4, just like these awesome poker peeps did. Lonnie Huff, John Lackland, Courtney Roy, Brock Sebo, Ying Wang, Craig Grunwald, Derek Hansen, Colin Brown, Simon Erb, Tassos Bardakos, Tyler Anderson, Anthony Ramirez, Kenny Ellsbury, Keith Smith, Alex Roots, Stig Bortness, Scott, Steve Esplin, and Brendan Rojas. If you purchase Poker Tracker 4 through my affiliate link, smartpokerstudy.com/pokertracker4, and then you email me your purchase receipt to sky@thepokerforge.com, I'll reply back with my Smart HUD absolutely for free. So get in on this right now, especially if you're an online player and you don't already have Poker Tracker 4. So we'll take a look at the losing hands right now. But first, let me show you how to filter for your losingest hands in Poker Tracker 4. So go back to that. Clear filters, more filters, hand details, same exact spot. You're going to go to win/loss. Player lost hands now, or lost hand. And now the big blind lost, let's say between -1,000 and -90. I just want to see almost full stack or greater losses right here. Add that to, whoops, I didn't turn it on. Player lost hand. Oh, and then turn that part on. So player lost hand and lost between 1,000 and 90 big blinds. So you can see 21 hands where I lost near a full stack or greater for -$166. But my biggest winning hands were +360. So there's a $200 difference there, right? My biggest winning hands are winning $200 more than my losing hands are losing, and that's a good sign. If you run these filters for yourself and you see more losses out of your biggest hands than your winning hands, then there could definitely be some kind of an issue. Maybe you're super unlucky, but there's a good chance maybe you're overplaying some of your biggest aces, kings, queens, ace, king when you flop top pair, top kicker, some of that. So definitely go through and review a lot of your losingest hands if you're losing more than you're winning with the big ones. But let's take a look at the 3 biggest losing hands. So I got pocket kings right here on the button. The cutoff open raise is a 2.4, a loose aggressive player at 28-21 with a 3-bet at 7%, 3 out of 44. Definitely loose aggressive. I'm 3-betting for value. I make it 9 over his 2.4 big blind raise. Couple of folds. Now the cutoff player decides to come over the top with a 4-bet. Loving that when I got pocket kings, right? So I come back over the top, make it 46 big blinds. Now, I didn't shove, and you saw in some of the prior hands I shoved to make it look weak, but I just really think that this player is capable of 4-bet bluffing with the weak hand. I didn't want to make his fold super easy. If I made it a full 115 big blinds here to start, he could find a fold when he only put in 27. I didn't know he had a hand as good as pocket jacks, obviously. But I wanted, I wanted him to continue, and boom, he does. He shoves in this full 181 big blind stack. I only have 70 big blinds behind pocket kings. Of course I'm going to call, right? So the total pot on the flop is 235 big blinds, and he flops a full house on me. Jacks full of 7s on the Jack 7-7 flop. It happens, we saw in the prior hand my queens beat out pocket kings. It goes both ways, right? But you got to take the good with the bad. And overall, as you saw, my good far outweighs the bad. So the turn comes a 9, the river comes a 4. No help to me. I lost my 117 big blind starting stack there with kings versus jacks. Now I have pocket jacks versus aces right here. We get a limper under the gun. A poster who only started with 49 big blinds just checks. Couple of folds. Now the pocket ace is 46/0. Super fishy player. No raises yet. 60% calling. Yeah, this player loves. If we look at the Smart HUD right here, he limps 44% of the time as well. Super fishy. He decides to limp with his pocket aces, right? That's a downfall of the biggest hands. Of course, this is a losing hand for me, so he doesn't lose big here, but he definitely could. So I make it 7 big blinds with my pocket jacks over 3 limpers. The first 2 players fold, and then his pocket aces just calls. Oh, okay. I'm really feeling good at this point. I think he's got just a pocket pair, maybe a couple of big Broadway cards or something, but my pocket jacks, really good equity versus a wide limp caller's range. The flop comes deuce 6 8. I've got the over pair of jacks, 16 big blind pot, so I bet 18. I overbet this pot right here, just trying to get max value out of this player, hoping he has a couple of big cards, ace queen, king queen, that just can't find a fold, and he's going to pay me off. Maybe even if he has a couple of clubs. I have the jack of clubs, but he has ace X of clubs, king X of clubs, queen, jack X of clubs. No, I have the jack, I apologize. 10X, like 10-8 and 10-9 of clubs. There's a lot of flush draws he could have here. So I'm betting big to charge him. He just calls with his pocket aces. The turn comes in 8, making the board 8-8, deuce 6, 2 clubs, 52 big blind pot. He checks to me. I come in for 56, a little bit greater than pot once again. I figured if he could call on that first 8 high board, the second 8 isn't going to scare him. He could easily call once again with his entire range. And he just calls. Now, alarm bells should be ringing in my head, right? He only left himself 33 big blinds behind. I only have 27. So there is a chance I'm beat right now. He could have a set of deuces or a set of sixes and turn to full house. A flopped set, I mean to say. The river comes a 6, making the board 8-8, 6-6, deuce. No flush draw comes in or anything. And he bets all in for 33 big blinds. Now, at this point, I really think he might do this as a bluff with a busted flush draw, ace queen, ace 10 of clubs, that kind of thing. He might be able to do this. I know it's a 2-paired board, 8s and 6s, but it only cost me 28 big blinds to win a total pot after my call of 225. I basically just need to win 1 out of 10. If he's bluffing 1 out of 10 here, then it's a decent call. So I called. He cracked me his aces versus my jacks. What a shame. And in this one, I lost 109 big blinds. So here, I've got pocket aces. I'm starting with 100 big blind stack. We get an MP open razor to 3 big blinds. The button with king jack suited decides to call for 3 big blinds. The small blind calls as well. He is a short stack. He only has 24 big blinds behind. So I've got pocket aces in the big blind. Of course, I come in for a 3-bet. I make it big. I go 17 big blinds because I'm up against an unknown player who open raised 3 big blinds, but I got the best possible hand. I know that this guy's a fish looking at his stats. This guy's a short stack fish over here in the small blind. I'm just going for max value. Fold. He calls with king jack suited versus my aces. Loving that, right? The small blind folds, so we're heads up. I am out of position. 84 big blinds in my stack, pocket aces, and a 40 big blind pot. The flop comes down king, queen, deuce. I've got the aces. I love this. I make it 28.5 big blinds, roughly 3/4 pot, maybe 2/3 pot, somewhere around there. And he just calls. He's got top pair weak kicker, king, queen. He's got the king, jack. The turn comes a 6 of spades. Now, I have the ace of spades, so I've got pocket aces on a king, queen, deuce, 6, 3 spade board. I'm loving this spot right here. I just shove it in. 55 big blinds into 97. He's got 223 big blinds behind. He ends up calling with his top pair weak kicker. I'm way ahead of him right now. But the river comes a king. So I lost my starting 100 big blind stack in this hand when you rivered me. So easy come, easy go. Sometimes you win big, sometimes you lose big, even with pocket aces right there. Alrighty, thank you so much for listening. Once again, make sure you visit that show notes page for screenshots of all the different hands, smartpokerstudy.com/pod421. You could also watch me a video of going through Poker Tracker 4 and reviewing all 10 of these hands. And of course, 2023 is right around the corner. ThePokerForge.com is what you need to turn you into the player that you want to be through next year. 2023, let's make it the best year ever. So go to ThePokerForge.com right now and join. Until next time, take action both on and off the felt to become the player that you want to be.